Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Midday Prime. I'm Gautam Roy. Over the next 1 hour, we'll bring you up to speed with all that is happening latest in the country and the world, including what is going on as far as the search and rescue operations are concerned in Uttarakhand's Chamoli district, where a glacier burst has caused a tragedy yesterday. We'll also get you what the Prime Minister had to say in his reply to the motion of thanks on the President's address as well. He reached out to farmers. There was a message to not only members of Parliament as well, but to the nation at large as well, to be beware of Andolanjivis. All that in the next 1 hour. First, the big news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi replies to the discussion on the President's address to the Rajya Sabha, assures farmers that MSP was there, is there and will remain in the future, and appeals to farmers to end their agitation, invites them for talks. The PM calls India as the mother of democracy and says our nation's temperament is democratic. People should understand the dignity of the House and should not spread confusion. The PM says India is truly a land of opportunities. The PM also lauds the contribution of Sikhs, says the community has done so much for the nation. The words and blessings of Guru Sahibs are precious. The PM also says COVID-19 period has added new strength to our federal structure and the spirit of cooperative federalism. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat says the NDRF and army teams are working on a war footing for the relief and rescue work in Chamoli. Says so far more than 202 people are missing. UN assures India of all necessary support. Protests against the military government continues for the third consecutive day in Myanmar. Hundreds of youth march against military rule in Myanmar's largest city of Yangon today as the protest spreads to new areas. Bangladesh starts a COVID-19 vaccination program on Sunday. More than 31,000 people vaccinated on the very first day, including eminent personalities, ministers, judges and high-ranking officials who did that to boost public confidence. England lose a rush of wickets in their second innings on day 4 of the first Test match against India at Chennai. India were all out for 337 in the first innings, handing 241 runs lead to the visitors. And on the first day of the Australian Open, Sumit Nagpal of India gets a wild card and Ankita Raina becomes the 5th Indian woman tennis player to make it to the main draw of the Grand Slam event. All right, now it's time to begin the show with the big news of the hour. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi replied to the motion of thanks on President Ramnath Kovikind's address in the Rajya Sabha today. The PM in his speech has assured farmers that MSP was there, MSP is there and MSP will remain in place in the future as well.
हमारी खेती को खुशहाल बनाने के लिए फैसले लेने का ये समय है, इस समय को हमने गंवा नहीं देना चाहिए। हमें आगे बढ़ना चाहिए, देश को पीछे नहीं ले जाना चाहिए। पक्ष हो, विपक्ष हो, आंदोलनरत साथी हो, इन सुधारों को हमने मौका देना चाहिए और एक बार देखना चाहिए कि इस परिवर्तन से हमें लाभ होता है कि नहीं होता है। मैं विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि मंडियां अधिक आधुनिक बने, अधिक प्रतिस्पर्धी होगी इस बार बजट में भी उसके लिए हमने प्रावधान किया है। इतना ही नहीं, एमएसपी है, एमएसपी था, एमएसपी रहेगा। ये सदन की पवित्रता समझे हम।
The PM appealed to the farmers to end the agitation and invited them for talks.
लगातार किसानों से बातचीत कर रहे हैं, लगातार मीटिंगें हो रही हैं और अभी तक कोई तनाव पैदा नहीं हुआ है। एक दूसरे की बात को समझने का, समझाने का प्रयास चल रहा है और हम लगातार आंदोलन से जुड़े लोगों से प्रार्थना करते हैं कि आप आंदोलन करना आपका हक है, लेकिन इस प्रकार से बुजुर्ग लोग वहाँ बैठे ये ठीक नहीं है। आप उनको सबको ले जाइए, आप आंदोलन को खत्म कीजिए। आगे बढ़ने के लिए मिल बैठ करके चर्चा करेंगे, रास्ता खुले है। ये सब हमने कहा है। मैं आज भी इस सदन से माध्यम से भी निमंत्रण देता हूँ।
Prime Minister Modi further said that India is not merely the world's largest democracy, India is the mother of democracy and this is our ethos.
मैं तो कभी कभी हैरान हो जाता हूँ, दुनिया जो हमें कोई शब्द पकड़ा देती है हम भी उसको पकड़ करके चल पड़ते हैं। दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी, दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी, दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी सुनते हैं हमको भी अच्छा लगता है। हाँ यार, भारत विश्व की सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र है। लेकिन हमने अपने युवा पीढ़ी को ये सिखाया नहीं कि भारत ये मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी है, ये लोकतंत्र की जननी है। हम सिर्फ बड़ा लोकतंत्र है ऐसा नहीं है, ये देश लोकतंत्र की जननी है। ये बात हमें हमारी आने वाली पीढ़ियों को सिखानी होगी और हमें गर्व से इस बात को बोलना होगा, क्योंकि हमारे पूर्वजों ने विरासत हमें दी है।
The Prime Minister also said that India is truly a land of opportunities. He said several opportunities are awaiting us. So as a nation which is young, full of enthusiasm, and a nation that is making efforts to realize its dreams with a resolve, will never let these opportunities simply pass by.
आज भारत सच्चे अर्थ में एक अवसरों की भूमि है। अनेक अवसर हमारा इंतजार कर रहे हैं और इसलिए जो देश युवा हो, जो देश उत्साह से भरा हुआ हो, जो देश अनेक सपनों को लेकर के संकल्प के साथ सिद्धि को प्राप्त करने के लिए प्रयासरत हो, वो देश इन अवसरों को कभी जाने नहीं दे सकता।
The PM also said that India has seen days when there was a large threat of diseases like polio and smallpox. He said the situation has changed now and India now is making vaccines for people across the world.
कभी चेचक की बात होती थी, कितना भय फैल जाता था, पोलियो कितना डरावना लगता था, उसकी वैक्सीन पाने के लिए क्या क्या मेहनत करनी पड़ती थी, कितनी तकलीफें उठानी पड़ती थी। मिलेगा, कब मिलेगा, कितना मिलेगा, कैसे मिलेगा, कैसे लगाएंगे, एक दिन हमने बिताए हैं। ऐसी स्थिति में उन दिनों को अगर याद करें तो पता चलेगा कि आज जिनको थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज में गिना जाता है वो देश मानव जात के कल्याण के लिए वैक्सीन लेकर के आ जाए। इतने कम समय में मिशन मोड में हमारे वैज्ञानिक भी जुटे रहे। ये मानव जात के इतिहास में भारत के योगदान एक गौरवपूर्ण गाथा है।
The PM also said COVID-19 period has added new strength to our federal structure and the spirit of cooperative federalism.
कोरोना में जैसे वैश्विक संबंधों में भारत ने अपनी एक विशिष्ट पहचान बनाई है, अपना स्थान बनाया है, वैसे ही भारत ने हमारे फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर को इस कोरोना के कालखंड में हमारी अंतर्भूत ताकत क्या है, संकट के समय हम कैसे मिलकर के काम कर सकते हैं, एक ही दिशा में सब शक्तियां लगा करके हम कैसे प्रयास कर सकते हैं, ये केंद्र और राज्य ने मिलकर के करके दिखाया है। मैं राज्यों को भी, क्योंकि इस सदन में राज्यों की अपनी फ्लेवर होती है और इसलिए इस सदन में तो मैं विशेष रूप से राज्यों का भी अभिनंदन करता हूं।
And the PM also said that the entire country was proud of the Sikh community, which is now mostly leading the farmers' protest.
कुछ लोग हमारे खास करके पंजाब के, खास करके सिख भाइयों के दिमाग में गलत चीजें भरने में लगे हैं। ये देश हर सिख के लिए गर्व करता है। देश के लिए क्या कुछ नहीं किया इन्होंने, उनका जितना हम आदर करें उतना कम है। गुरुओं की महान परंपरा को, मेरा भाग्य रहा है मुझे पंजाब की रोटी खाने का अवसर मिला है। मैं जिंदगी में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण वर्ष पंजाब में बिताए हैं, इसलिए मुझे मालूम है। और इसलिए जो भाषा उनके लिए कुछ लोग बोलते हैं, उनको गुमराह करने के जो लोग प्रयास करते हैं, इससे कभी देश का भला नहीं होगा।
So a very strong forthright message by the Prime Minister. Let's get you more on this. We're joined at the moment by my colleague Vishal Baristo, who listened very carefully to what the Prime Minister said in the Rajya Sabha, and also senior journalist Shekhar Iyer with us. Good afternoon to you both. Vishal, just tell us how was the Prime Minister's speech received in Parliament? Is it having the desired impact, the outreach to farmers, members of Parliament on a range of issues apart from the farmers' agitation as well?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Gautam. Yes, indeed, the Prime Minister was at his best today in the Rajya Sabha, and he did not even spare the opposition, because when he took dig at Derek O'Brien, because Derek O'Brien has been very vocal against the Modi government, and he said that you must be reminded of what's happening in your own state. And also, he thanked the leader of opposition in the upper house, Ghulam Nabi Azad. You carry yourself so well, and I thank you for supporting the government's move in Jammu and Kashmir, and also the chairman, when you thank the chairman for allowing discussion for 15 hours in the upper house. I'm sure your party does not take it as a move forwarded, spearheaded by the G23 group. So it was very well received in the parliament, because Prime Minister tried to reach to every single person across the country when he said that India is the mother of democracy, and also then he reached out to the Sikh community saying that their contribution to the country cannot be forgotten. And also at the same time he said that all the reforms for the farmers are for the marginal farmers, the small farmers, and he also reminded the parliament, the upper house, I beg your pardon, of the speeches of the former Prime Minister Chaudhry Charan Singh, in which he used to be was very much concerned about the small and marginal farmers. And he said that it is not only about the farmers but also those associated with the dairy products and also the fisheries. So the Prime Minister tried his level best to take on every single issue, whether it was MSP, in which he categorically said that MSP tha, hai or rahega. It was there, it is, and it will be there forever. And also he said that his government is focusing on the modernization of mandis. So he tried his level best, and it was very well received in both the houses, I would presume, because the Lok Sabha would start at 4 p.m. Last week was a very bad time because there was hardly any business. Okay. But this time, after the Prime Minister's speech, I hope rather that the opposition, better sense prevail over opposition, and they would also come and take part in this festival of democracy, because after all they have been sent to this place to raise issues and discuss all the important topics in the parliament. Gautam?
Well, certainly. Shekhar Iyer, what do you make of the kind of appeal that the Prime Minister had, the assurance that he had for farmers as well, and the message that he sent out to not just the members of the upper house, it was meant for all members of parliament and people in the country at large, talking about a range of issues from India's democratic credentials, its history, the greatness of that, and also India's great fight against COVID-19, the kind of transition that India has made from days where he said that we used to hunt for vaccines for smallpox and other diseases, for polio as well, but now we're providing vaccine to the entire world. That adds a completely different dimension, and he even mentioned people like Andolonkaris who need to be countered.
Well, Gautam, I think it is one of his best speeches in Parliament, I would say, because it has addressed every aspect of the current situation. You know, the political aspect, the economic aspect, and the problems actually afflicting our agriculture today. And, you know, I think it is one of his candid way of approaching issues and putting forth before Parliament and before the opposition party and before the people as to what are the issues and what are our problems.
Yes.
Because when he spoke about the farmers' issue, particularly about the farm bills and the agitation that has been going on, he addressed the question, what ails our agriculture? What ails our farmers today? And he drew from statistics which were used by former Prime Minister Charan Singh, who is the founder of the Rashtriya Lok Dal, whose leaders are today, with Rakesh Tikayat and trying to make a capital out of this agitation. And he specifically said that today there are farmers who are not even covered by your loan waivers, because often loan waiver is considered one of the easiest way to do something for farmers. So today our Prime Minister pointed out there are farmers who own very small plot of land, less than 2 hectares, and those who do not have the wherewithal to go and approach the bank to take a loan. Now, this is the condition of the poorest of the poor farmers. Now, if you want, and this is what ails our agriculture, because such farmers constitute 86%. So therefore, if you have to do something, you have to reform the system.
Yes.
And Prime Minister pointed out, you see, it is not this government, he has decided for the first time to bring these changes, because these changes have been thought about for the last 2 decades. And successive governments have done something to bring these changes, but every time they have gone back, fearing a kind of backlash from some vested interests who want this present system to continue. Therefore, the Prime Minister today appealed to the opposition and to the farmer bodies to realize, look, no law is cast in stone, no law is perfect. There could be certain lacunas even with the present farm laws. There could be room for further improvement, for some more safeguards, some more changes. But that can be done only through dialogue, because what the Prime Minister said from the floor of the House, which our Vishal Baristo also pointed out, when the Prime Minister said MSP, tha, रहेगा or hai, it's a way of conveying, look, and he also, after that he said, look, this is a statement I am making on the floor of Parliament, which means a Prime Minister's assurance on the floor of the Parliament is as good as a law, because there has been a clamor that MSP somehow be made mandatory in these farm laws. So today the Prime Minister took the opportunity to convey from the floor of the Parliament that there is no danger to MSP. In fact, the MSP has been going up year after year.
Yes.
More farmers have been covered. So all that is needed to assuage the concerns of genuine farmers has been addressed by the Prime Minister's address today. Now it is for the farmer bodies to reciprocate, and at the same time, as the Prime Minister told the opposition, look, you can take credit. You need not say that we have done it, but at least let certain issues be spared from politicking, which comes at a very high cost, Gautam.
Yes, and he mentioned Anandan GVs as well, and this was the second consecutive day that he has attacked the people who've been trying to harm the image of India abroad as well as at home, through all these campaigns, toolkits and everything, and that particular battle also being taken forward as well today in Parliament.
Yes, of course. Today he came with a very, very humorous expression. The foreign disruptive investment kind of thing, and also the
ideology. Yes, foreign destructive ideology.
Yeah, for foreign disruptive ideology, which is actually the kind of investment I would say, because these people are constantly looking for issues and are looking for causes to rent. And when he spoke of Andolan GV, the same set of people are out there, whatever be the cause, whether it is a citizenship amendment or it is universities or whether it is agriculture, because they somehow have been very, very uncomfortable ever since, Prime Minister Modi got a mandate in 2014 and he matched it with equal greater mandate in 2019. And the Prime Minister has made it clear that he got this mandate because he has been authorized to address some long-standing problems afflicting our economy. Therefore, changes that are necessary will have to be done. and he will not go back on that. I think, Gautam, today's the big message that comes out, rather the big picture out of the Prime Minister's address is, he has sent out a message very clearly that the government is in total confidence that it is addressing issues as they should be addressed, is coming with solutions as should be found for long-standing problems, and there is no doubt, there is no dilly-dallying, and there is no fear in the minds of the government as if it has taken a wrong step, because its intentions are clear, its approach is clear, and it is fully transparent in bringing out steps that will actually take our country out of the problems we have seen. Because reforms is a subject every government has, tread with lot of caution because of political fallout. But the Prime Minister has decided that agriculture is one area where the reforms can no longer be delayed. That is why, in a way, he has appealed to the opposition also to realize, look, nobody disputes the fact that the farmers or the organization that claim to be speaking on behalf of farmers, can come in protest or do agitation. But we must also remember to tell them, look, just as you have the right to protest, you must also appreciate the fact that our agriculture today needs big changes, the changes that can only address the long-standing problems of our very small, marginal farmers. Because the issue which is bothering the big agriculture is different, but our focus is on the very small farmers.
Okay. Now, Vishal, what can we expect? The PM has reiterated the offer for talks, but we've seen that the government has made very generous offers of keeping the laws in abeyance as well for a fairly long period of time. But the farmers have simply been insisting, the agitating farmers, that is, the unions, that we will not agree to anything but a repeal of the law. So how do we move forward over here?
Well, Gautam, before I answer to your question, taking cue from Shekhar Iyer, let me carry forward to what Prime Minister said. He said that we have heard of Shramjeevi, we have heard of Buddhijeevi, but there is another sect which is called the Andolanjeevi, which means they are parasites, they only survive on such agitations. I do not mind people opposing and criticizing, because I've been on the receiving end for a very long time, especially by the opposition. And the way he ended his speech, he said that it is quite understandable because you have had a very difficult time with the pandemic, and socializing was not there, and you must be, imprisoned in your own house. So you vented out your anger against me, and I perfectly take it. I'm happy that at least I was there for some use to you, in a way that he said that as people are criticizing and opposing and agitating simply because of politics. And the way Prime Minister carried on with his speech, he said that the contribution of the Sikh community cannot be forgotten, and he tried to reach out to the people who have been somehow misguided by a set of politicians. And he also said that the foreign destructive ideology should be taken care of, and he asked the people to beware of such ideologies. So the Prime Minister tried his level best. He also said that see, we are the mother of democracy. No system is perfect. I am there for talks. We are here for talks. We can always talk. We can always figure out our disputes, and we can also find solutions. I am there for you. You just have to come out and we just have to talk, but give this reform a chance, because this is for the larger benefit of the people. This is for those who have been marginalized in the agrarian society for such a long time. So give peace a chance, give development a chance, was the message from the Prime Minister.
Well, definitely, and let's hope that message is well taken and we have some results coming out of that as well. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Vishal Bristow as well as Shekhar Iyer. Okay, let's now get to our developing story. Our developing story is related to that incident in Uttarakhand that horrified a lot of people yesterday when they saw it on different sets of screens. The death toll in that particular incident has risen to 18, and over 200 people are still missing because a glacier burst in Chamoli district that triggered an avalanche yesterday. Teams of the district administration, NDRF, SDRF, ITPP and defence personnel have been engaged in relief and rescue operations since yesterday. 6 Mi-17 sorties, one of the advanced light helicopter as well, and one Chinook sortie have been resorted to rescue, find and rescue people as well who've been missing. An advanced light helicopter was tasked for the reconnaissance of the affected area by 6 scientists of the DRDO along with their specialized equipment. Further requirements are being coordinated with relevant authorities as well. The forces have cleared 90-meter stretch of debris in the big tunnel at Tapovan till now, with about 100 meters of clearing the debris still left to go. And speaking to the media, DG NDRF SN Pradhan said the rescue mission is on at full swing.
रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन अभी लगातार जारी है। मेन जो फोकस रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन का है वो जो बड़ा टनल है जो लगभग 2.5 किलोमीटर का है उसी पर फोकस है। और सभी टीमें चाहे वो आईटीबीपी की हो, चाहे एनडीआरएफ की हो, चाहे आर्मी की हो, चाहे एसडीआरएफ की हो, सभी उसी में लगी हुई हैं। टनल में समस्या ये है कि मिट्टी बहुत दलदल और मिट्टी बहुत है, तो मिट्टी को क्लियरिंग की जा रही है और इंजीनियरिंग विंग जो आर्मी का है उसमें उन्होंने अच्छा काम किया है और लगभग 1 किलोमीटर से ज़्यादा क्लियरेंस हो चुका है और उम्मीद है कि जल्द से जल्द हम लोग उस स्थान तक पहुंच पाएंगे जहां हो सकता है लोग जीवित मिले।
In addition to that, ITBP ADG Manoj Singh Rawat has taken stock of the rescue operation today that is being carried out at Tapovan.
काफ़ी लोगों को इसमें मिसिंग हुए हैं। ये जो टनल में काम कर रहे थे, ये पहले जो इसमें एनटीपीसी वाले डैम में काम कर रहे थे तो वो तो ज़्यादा क्षति हुई है। देखिए यहाँ पर हमारी 3 सेटअप हैं। एक है 1st बटालियन जो जोशीमठ में है, दूसरी है हमारी 8th बटालियन गौचर में है और एक हमारी स्पेशलाइज्ड जो माउंटेन स्किल की जो MSI ओली है, उन सभी के तंत्र लगे।
Meanwhile, a field hospital has been set up for providing medical aid at the incident site as well.
आईटीबी की टीम ने हमको 2 या 3-4 घंटे में बाहर निकाल दिया और हमको अपने साथ रेस्क्यू करके और आईटीबी हॉस्पिटल में भर्ती किया हुआ है और हमारा इलाज ठीक से चल रहा है, बाकी हम सब ठीक हैं।
तो इधर टनल में काम करने के टाइम में पानी आ गया और टनल में फंस गया। इसी के टाइम में आईटीबीपी रेस्क्यू टीम आके हमारे को बचा दिया।
हमारी इलाज हो रही है ठीक ठाक और सब ठीक है। हमको हमारे को सब तबीयत ठीक ही है, अब कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। पानी बनने के कारण हम ऊपर टनल के सरिया के द्वारा आधे रास्ते तक आए, फिर आईटीबी की टीम आई, उन्होंने हमें निकाला।
हमारी कंपनी में जो आपदा आई थी और आईटीबीपी जोशीमठ ने रेस्क्यू करके हमें बचाया है और अपना हॉस्पिटल में ले आए हैं और अच्छी तरह से ट्रीटमेंट कर रहे हैं।
सुबह 10 साढ़े 10 बजे के टाइम पे इससे आवाज़ आई हमारे को बाहर निकालने की। वो आवाज़ आई कि बाहर आ जाओ, लेकिन तब तक पानी अंदर आ चुका था और काफ़ी 1-2 घंटे हमने मशक्कत करने की सोची। आईटीबीपी फोर्स ने हमारे को रेस्क्यू करके बड़ी मुश्किल से हमें निकाला।
So these people face quite an ordeal and now are quite thankful that they are being well taken care of at the field hospital there. Now, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat has also said today that rescue operations have been carried out throughout Sunday night. He gave an update on the various casualty and other figures as well related to this entire incident.
राहत कार्य तो पूरी रात वहां पर चलता रहा। 2 प्रोजेक्ट थे, एक तो रेणी गांव में जो ऋषि गंगा प्रोजेक्ट के नाम से था और ऋषि गंगा नदी पर ही है, ये तो पूरी तरह वॉश आउट हो गया, इसमें कुछ भी देखने को नहीं बचा है। और वहाँ से 5 किलोमीटर दूर तपोवन गांव के पास ये तपोवन विष्णु गार्ड जो परियोजना है उसका काम चल रहा था। इसमें बड़ी संख्या में श्रमिक काम कर रहे थे क्योंकि ये निर्माणाधीन था। अभी तक जो पूरा आंकड़ा आया है 203 के आसपास मिसिंग की खबर आई है।
And further on the same incident, Union Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank has said that it is quite a difficult situation. Although ITBP has successfully rescued people, he also assured of all possible assistance required in the relief and rescue efforts as far as the people affected in the incident are concerned.
भारत सरकार पूरी ताकत के साथ और जैसे देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बोला कि पूरा देश और पूरी सरकार इस आपदा में उत्तराखंड के लोगों के साथ है और इस यहाँ पर कोई कोर कसर नहीं छोड़ी जाएगी। लोगों की ज़िंदगी बचाने के लिए।
Students of a school in Jammu have held a special prayer today for those affected by the flash floods in Uttarakhand. They said they prayed to God that all missing people are reunited with their families as soon as possible.
उत्तराखंड में ऋषिकेश में इतनी बड़ी ट्रेजेडी हो गई है, ग्लेशियर इतना बड़ा मतलब डिस्ट्रॉय हो गया और उसके कारण कितने ज़्यादा लोगों को मिस हो गए हैं, कितने सारे लोगों की जान भी गई है। हम आज इधर इसीलिए आए हैं ताकि हम जो लोगों की जान गई है उनके प्रति सहानुभूति दिखा सके, उनके प्रति हम दिखा सके कि उनकी जिन लोगों की जान गई है उनके प्रति शांति के मैसेज को फॉरवर्ड कर सके।
न्यूज़ में बता रहे हैं कि उत्तराखंड में ग्लेशियर फटा है, तो वहाँ पे मेरे को बहुत अफसोस हुआ, तो इसलिए मैं यहाँ पे प्रे कर रहा हूँ।
Union Minister R.K. Singh has also reached Joshimath in Uttarakhand to take stock of the situation in the wake of the flash floods. He said the government's priority is rescuing those people who are still trapped. Around 34 people are trapped inside a tunnel. That's what's being said. Rescue agencies are making all efforts, but communication has not been established yet.
हमारे बहुत सारे लोग, बहुत सारे वर्कर्स मिसिंग हैं, कुछ डेड बॉडीज़ भी मिले हैं, तो हमारे लिए तो बहुत बड़ी ट्रेजेडी है। हम लोग को जो आकलन है करीब 34 लोग फंसे हैं इस टनल में, तो उनको रेस्क्यू करना अभी प्रेजेंट चैलेंज है हमारा। सबसे इमीडिएट चैलेंज वही है कि हम इसको रेस्क्यू करें। तो उसमें जैसा आपने देखा कि वो काम चल रहा है। अभी हम लोग करीब 70 मीटर तक अंदर गए हैं टनल के। करीब 180 मीटर हमको और जाना है, तब जाकर करके हम बेंड पर आएंगे, और उस बेंड के बाद शायद ये मलबा नहीं हो, तो हमारे जो लोग हैं वो उस बेंड के बाद होंगे, ये हम लोग का अनुमान है। अभी कम्युनिकेशन एस्टैब्लिश नहीं हुआ है, तो किस तरह से हम ये डिसिल्टिंग करें, किस तरह से मलबा और तेज़ी से निकालें, इसका हम लोगों ने डिस्कशन किया है अपने पदाधिकारियों के साथ।
And United Nations Secretary General is deeply saddened by the reported loss of lives and dozens of people missing following the glacier burst and subsequent flooding in Uttarakhand as well. Secretary General has expressed his deep condolences to the families of the victims and to the people and government of India. The United Nations also stands ready to contribute to ongoing rescue and assistance efforts if necessary. China has also expressed condolences to the victims of the massive flood in northern India. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said, and I quote, "We want to express our condolences to the victims and sympathy to bereaved families and injured. We hope that missing people will be rescued at an early date." Meanwhile, Bhutan's Prime Minister Lote Tshering has also said he's also been praying for the people of Uttarakhand. Taking to Twitter, the Bhutanese PM said, and I quote, "Sending prayers for the souls lost to the Uttarakhand flood and wishing courage to those who are fighting the disaster. May those who are still missing be found in good health. We are with you, dear friends in India." Let me now quickly take you across to my colleague Nandita Dagar for more on how the rescue efforts are going. Nandita, no resource, I believe, is being spared to find all those people who are still missing and bring relief to those who have so far been rescued. Just share the details with us.
You are asking me this question, Gautam?
Yes, Nandita.
Okay, Gautam, actually the news that we have, the news update as far as today is concerned is that since 7 o'clock in the morning, about 6 Mi-17 choppers, 1 ALH that is Advanced Light Helicopter Dhruv, and 1 Chinook which is the heavy lift helicopter of the Air Force. All these Air Force assets have been pressed into action, and from Dehradun to that is Jolly Grant Airport to Joshimath, the Air Force through its choppers has airlifted more than 120 NDRF personnel, around 5 tons of rescue equipment which is needed to excavate that tunnel. Also 6 dogs which are sniffer dogs have also been airlifted. The Advanced Light Helicopter of the Air Force has lifted 6 scientists from the DRDO who have conducted a recce from the air of the damaged sites and the destruction that has happened, and the rehabilitation efforts they have started, they have begun also. Also, Gautam, this at the confluence of the Dhauli Ganga and the Rishi Ganga rivers, the Tapovan Power Project or the Tapovan Hydel Power Project, also known as Rishi Ganga Power Project, that has completely been washed away, as we have seen in the pictures that have come in.
Yes.
Army has deployed 4 columns, which is around 400 personnel. 2 medical teams have been deployed and 1 engineering task force, which means which has 2 JCBs. These are 2 heavy lifting crane type of instruments and equipment which can actually excavate from that tunnel, which is full of rubble now. They are all the army helicopters such as cheetahs are also carrying out recce and aerial reconnaissance. ITBP Jawans, of course, and the army Jawans. ITBP and army Jawans have worked throughout the night and dug through that rubble to look for survivors and also bodies if there are any. Unfortunately, this does seem to be the possibility as time goes by, but as of now the hope is still there that with the help of sniffer dogs we will be able to find people alive. Also the army has set up lighting arrangements at the excavation site so that even during the night the operations, rescue operations can go on unhindered. As of now, we believe that more than 30 personnel, which are construction workers primarily, have been trapped at the tunnel near Tapovan. Also, Gautam, the entrance to the Malari Valley, that road has been blocked. Also, the Nanda Devi Glacier, the entrance to that is completely filled with rubble, and the rubble has come down to as low as villages such as Peoplekoti. So you can just imagine that we have to advise, through Doordarshan News, the authorities would like to advertise and warn the people not to venture on roads and bridges. The Joshimath to Tapovan road, of course, is intact, thankfully, but people need not venture, and alert still remains. High alert remains for the rivers to be in spate. So at Haridwar, Rishikesh, Rudraprayag, Karnaprayag, it is...
Well, let's hope that these locations, they remain safe yesterday and they will remain safe in the coming days as well, as all the efforts that are being made by different agencies, not just the armed forces, but the ITBP, the SDRF, the NDRF and so many others also bear fruit, and all the people who are missing are found in good health and are reunited with their families. Thanks for joining us for the moment.
Thank you.
Nandita Thakur. Okay, now let's get you all the updates that are there in National Prime. Now, Union Minister D.V. Sadanand Gowda addressed the curtain raiser press conference today on the 6th edition of India Pharma and India Medical Device 2021. The Union Minister, along with the Union Minister of State for Chemical and Fertilizers, Mansukh Lal Mandavia, released the brochure of the event. And addressing the curtain raiser press conference, the Union Minister said that India will continue to strive to achieve and maintain a leadership position in the manufacturing and supply of high-quality generic medicines and medical devices, and will focus on ways to improve access to medical care.
Has witnessed several changes led by our dynamic Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to connect with several countries to boost business and trade relationships. The Make in India drive has been central, and we feel that Make in India concept has given a big boost to the pharma sector also. Pharmaceuticals are one of the top 10 attractive sectors for foreign investment in India, or that the FDI inflows in the pharmaceutical sector reached value of rupees 3,650 crores in the year 2019-20, a record growth, 98% year on year.
Moving further, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath today inspected the Purvanchal Expressway in Ghazipur. Addressing an event there, the Chief Minister said that employment opportunities will increase after the completion of the expressway.
मैं हैदराबाद से लेकर के और पूरे लखनऊ तक इस पूरे एक्सप्रेसवे के हर एक जनपद में इन कार्यों का निरीक्षण करते हुए आगे बढ़ रहा हूं। यहां पर विकास की हुई अनंत संभावनाएं आगे बढ़ सकें। मेरा यह मानना है पूर्वांचल एक्सप्रेसवे जैसे बनेगा, यहां पे रोजगार और नौकरी की ढेर सारी संभावनाएं आगे बढ़ेंगी। हमारे यहाँ के युवाओं को नौकरी और रोजगार के लिए अन्य राज्यों की ओर नहीं जाना पड़ेगा, दुनिया के अन्य देशों की ओर नहीं जाना पड़ेगा, बल्कि नौकरी और रोजगार के लिए जिसको आना होगा उत्तर प्रदेश में आएगा।
Now, the IDEX program of the Defence Innovation Organization is helping the armed forces in finding made in India solutions to their modernization efforts. Not only is this leading to innovation, but also giving a fillip to Startup India. Our correspondent Nandita Dagar has reported on this.
When India talks about Startup India, there is no better place to start than the arms manufacturing industry. That's because India is the largest importer of arms in the world, and we badly need startups in the defense manufacturing industry, in the domestic defense industry. That is why in 2018, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the then Defense Minister Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, they launched the IDEX program. That is the Innovation in Defense Excellence program.
What we do in the entire process is we give them monetary support of half the product development budget or up to 1.5 CR for each project. If some startup want to create something, let's suppose for this BMP, he will never get an opportunity to see this BMP and mount their equipment on this BMP. We make these equipment available to them, help them integration on that, help them test their equipment in different DRDO and other labs, and then make the equipment functional. So it's not only the monetary help, but entire
also
help.
Logistical help
Yes,
to provide.
yes.
IDEX liaises with the armed forces and with these small homegrown innovative companies, and it provides them basically with problem statements which the startups, being optimistic, like to call challenges, and these challenges are then rewarded with the financial help and logistical help. Financial help of about 1.5 crore rupees to each startup which wins a challenge, and that is why this IDEX is proving to be a boon for India's startup industry in defense.
Tank crew has very limited vision around the tank what is happening. So what we did, we created a solution that allows the tank crew to have a complete 360-degree visualization around the vehicle.
So you have mounted this upon a BMP-2 Sarath vehicle, and can you tell us about this IDEX, how you are associated with it?
When IDEX started, the IDEX purpose was to connect startups with the real world environment, with the real world end user, and understand the problems, what the problems they face, and also provide a platform for me to be able to provide the technology and demonstrate the technology. Besides that, which they also help the startups fund the program. So they also fund the program, the product development or the installation.
This electro-optical system mounted on a BMP-2 Sarath infantry combat vehicle, it provides a see-through armor to this vehicle. This is an example of a product or a technology that has been developed with the help of IDEX and startups and the army working in unison. With camera person AMG Surendra at Yalhanka near Bangalore, this is Nandita Dagar for DD News.
So giving new firepower to India's startup sector there, IDEX. Let's now take a quick look at what's happening across the globe as well. Well, the protests against the military government have continued for the third consecutive day in Myanmar. The protests have spread to new areas in the country as people are reported to be coming out against the government more and more. Hundreds of youth marched against the military rule in Myanmar's largest city of Yangon today, just 1 week after the country's military junta seized power in a coup. Also, police in Myanmar's capital Naypyidaw used water cannons today against protesters demonstrating against the coup. Police fired the water cannons in brief bursts against a group of thousands of protesters. Carrying colourful placards, young protesters streamed along a main street in Yangon as part of the growing protests and civil disobedience movements across the country. The protests have continued ever since the military put former leader Aung San Suu Kyi and others under detention. Suu Kyi faces charges of illegally importing communication devices and is being held in police detention for investigation until the 15th of February. Army Commander Min Aung Hlaing carried out the coup on the grounds of fraud in a November 8 election in which Suu Kyi's NLD party won by a landslide. Update now from Bangladesh. The nationwide COVID-19 vaccination program in the country opened to a warm response across the entire territory, with more than 31,000 people getting vaccinated on the first day of the program on Sunday. Eminent personalities, ministers, judges and high-ranking officials took the vaccine on the first day to boost public confidence in the vaccination drive in Bangladesh. Health, Home, Education and Agriculture ministers were among the several ministers who were vaccinated at different centres in the capital. Chief Justice Syed Mahmood Hussain and many other high-ranking officials, opposition leaders, civil society members also took the vaccine in Dhaka. 31,160 people were vaccinated at 1,005 centres set up in 64 districts of the country. Till now, 4.1 lakh people have registered for the vaccine. And speaking in Dhaka on Sunday, Health Minister Zahid Malik said that it's the safest vaccine. He urged people not to pay heed to any rumours about it. Bangladesh has signed an agreement with the Serum Institute of India for the purchase of 30 million doses of Covishield. Out of it, 5 million doses arrived in Bangladesh last month. India has also gifted 2 million doses of the vaccine to Bangladesh. Elsewhere in Latin America, South America's Ecuador, voting for the presidential elections closed yesterday. The election saw many voters wary of painful economic austerity measures, encouraging left-wing candidate Andrés Arauz, who hopes to win without needing a runoff vote. Polls closed in South American country after voters headed out in large numbers to pick a new president in an election held under the shadow of a severe economic crisis and discontent over the handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Interestingly, Ecuadorian law makes voting mandatory and applies a $40 penalty for abstention. Sunday's vote will see the South American nation's 13.1 million voters choose a successor in President Lenin Moreno, as well as elect lawmakers to fill 137 seats in the National Assembly. To win a single round, Arauz needs more than 50% of the valid votes, or 40% total, with 10 percentage points more than the runner-up. Otherwise, a runoff vote will be held on the 11th of April. Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has said yesterday that Tehran's definitive policy will return to compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal only if Washington lifts sanctions on the Islamic Republic. The deal between Iran and 6 major powers limited Iran's uranium enrichment activity to make it harder for Tehran to develop nuclear arms in return for the easing of US and other sanctions. Former US President Donald Trump had abandoned the deal in 2018, denouncing it as a one-sided in Iran's favor, and reimposed sanctions that have crippled Iran's economy. In response to Trump's withdrawal, Tehran has breached the deal's key limits, building up to its stockpile of low-enriched uranium and using advanced centrifuges for enrichment. US President Joe Biden, who took office last month, has said that if Tehran returned to strict compliance with the pact, Washington would follow suit and use that as a springboard to a broader agreement that might restrict Iran's missile development and regional activities. Haitian President Jovenel Moise announced on Sunday that the police has arrested more than 20 people accused of trying to kill him and overthrow his government. Individuals arrested included a Supreme Court judge and a senior police officer. Police in the capital fired tear gas at protesters who demanded Moise leave power and respect the constitution. It was unclear as to who was behind the alleged power grab in the Western Hemisphere's poorest nation, which has been driven by political and economic crises on top of the damage wrought by the coronavirus pandemic. Moise is currently ruling by decree after dissolving a majority of parliament in January 2020 after no legislative elections were held. He is planning an upcoming constitutional referendum in April that critics say could award him more powers, while general elections are scheduled for later this year. Let's also now take a look at the update on the COVID-19 situation from across the world. More than 10 crore 66 lakh people worldwide have contracted the COVID-19 virus, while over 7 crore 85 lakh recoveries have also been recorded so far. The number of fatalities from COVID-19 globally stand about 23 lakh 26,000. The US continues to remain the worst affected country from the disease, recording over 2 crore 76 lakh cases and over 4 lakh 74,000 deaths. Brazil, where the number of lives lost has crossed 2,31,000, trails behind the US in terms of fatalities. Now, South Africa will suspend the use of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 shots in its vaccination program after data showed it gave minimal protection against mild to moderate infection caused by the country's dominant coronavirus variant. The South African Health Minister has said that the government would await the advice from scientists on how best to proceed.
It's a temporary issue that we have to hold on to AstraZeneca. It is temporary until we figure out these issues. What are the next steps supposed to be? When we know those steps, then of course we bring it back.
And it's time now to get you all the update from the world of sport. Time for different arenas of sport over, but I believe we're beginning with cricket, aren't we, Suchitra? Go ahead, Suchitra.
Thank you, Gautam. Let's start with some cricket updates. England were batting at 134 for the loss of 6 wickets in their second innings of Chennai Test when last reports came in. R. Ashwin claimed the wicket of Rory Burns on the first ball of the innings. Dom Sibley was also scalped by Ashwin after making 16 runs. Ishant Sharma picked Dan Lawrence as his 300th Test scalp. Ashwin also removed Ben Stokes. Skipper Joe Root was trapped LBW by Bumrah after making a quick 40 of 32. Earlier, India were all out at 337 in their first innings, giving the visitors a lead of 241 runs in the first innings. India added 80 runs in their overnight score. Washington Sundar remained not out at 85. Dom Bess was the most successful English bowler, picking 4 wickets. On to Australian Open. 3-time Grand Slam champion Angelique Kerber crashed out of the Australian Open today with a 6-0, 6-4 defeat to Bernarda Pera in the first upset of the tournament. The 2016 Australian Open winner Kerber, seeded 23rd at Melbourne Park, lost in just 1 hour and 10 minutes. Serena Williams started her quest for a record equaling 24th Grand Slam title with an impressive win. Playing her 100th match at the Australian Open, Serena defeated Laura Siegemund 6-1, 6-1 in 56 minutes. US Open champion Dominic Thiem had to save set point in a tightly contested opening set and battle for 2 hours and 42 minutes to move into the second round of the Australian Open. Thiem defeated Mikhail Kurushkin 7-6, 6-2, 6-3. Ankita Raina became only the 5th Indian women tennis player in Open Era to secure a place in the main draw of a Grand Slam as she made the cut for the women's doubles event of the Australian Open. After missing out on the women's singles main draw, the 28-year-old realized her long-time dream when she signed up with Romania's Mihaela Buzărnescu and earned a direct entry. It was the Indians' 6th attempt to qualify for a competition at the grand stage. Sumit Nagal will be competing in the singles event of the first Grand Slam of the season. Nagal has been awarded a wild card entry into the men's singles event. Some football action. Chelsea recovered from Antonio's own goal to move up to 5th in the Premier League as Thomas Tuchel's unbeaten start as manager continued with a 2-1 victory at Sheffield United. Mason Mount broke the deadlock to put Blues ahead. Chelsea then conceded the first goal of Tuchel's 4-game reign in the form of an own goal. Jorginho kept his cool from the spot for his 6th goal of the season. Coming after Liverpool's 4-1 defeat by leaders Manchester City, the win put Chelsea's Champions League ambitions back on track after they had slipped to 9th under former boss Frank Lampard. Manchester City took a decisive hold on the Premier League title race as they thrashed Liverpool 4-1 at Anfield. City's comprehensive triumph was their first at Anfield since 2003 and Pep Guardiola's first away to Liverpool as a manager. Gundogan put City ahead 4 minutes into the second period. Mohamed Salah equalised for Liverpool from the spot just after the hour. Foden set up Gundogan to put City back in front after 73 minutes. City saved the best until last when Foden, the game's outstanding performer, thundered a magnificent finish 7 minutes from time. The emphatic victory leaves City 5 points ahead of second place Manchester United, having played a game less, and 10 points ahead of Liverpool with a match in hand. So those were some sports updates. Back to you, Gautam.
Thank you, Suchitra. And now let's get you to the lighter side of hard news, which is Live Prime.